All I can say is, Harley Quinn's crew ain't nothing to f*** with. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Crossin Streams. As always, I am your host, the real Geno Reynolds, and today we're going to be talking about Episode 3 of the DC Universe's Harley Quinn series. When we last left off, Harley had failed to impress the Legion of Doom, so now she's out on her own. She's trying to steal a nuclear warhead from Russia at the beginning of the episode for a really dumb reason. That being said, it makes sense in her head, so hey, it makes sense. But she's thwarted by none other than the Joker and his henchmen. She realizes after this that she needs her own crew. She can't do anything by herself. She tries to get Poison Ivy, but Poison Ivy's like, no, I'm on my own. But so she tries first going to like a villain bar. No one wants to work for her, but they'll work for Kite Man, who makes his return. And he just comes in and says, hey, I have a job, and it involves kites. And everyone's like, yeah, we want to work for you. But no one wants to work with her. She goes to a villain motivational speaker. It's Maxie Zeus, played by Will Sasso. He's hilarious, by the way. His character is, let's just say he's a little full of himself. But he's willing to help her, but she has to sleep with him. She turns him down. And of course, later he's saying, oh, it's the girl I chose not to sleep with. So after talking to Poison Ivy about it, Poison Ivy tells her a story about, what would happen if she does succeed. And she tells her a story about the Queen of Fables, who's voiced by Wanda Sykes. About how she got too big, how the Justice League took her down and banished her. And she goes to talk to the Queen of Fables, Harley does, and gets the story from her, the rest of the story about how the Justice League stopped her. And Harley realizes, you know what? I need my crew, but it can't just be any crew. It's got to be the biggest F-ups ever. So she goes back to the villain bar where Dr. Psycho, voiced by Tony Hale, a far cry from Forky, by the way. Dr. Psycho doesn't like women. And on live television, Dr. Psycho is fighting Wonder Woman and calls her a see you next Tuesday. Live on TV. And, of course, he has to go on an apology tour for that. And he goes on a talk show where his girlfriend Giganta breaks up with him. And then he calls her a see you next Tuesday, again, live on television. The funny part about that is is the Legion of Doom have to make a public announcement saying that he's no longer in the Legion of Doom, that they can't tolerate that kind of language. And it's like, it's just hilarious because, they murder, they destroy, they steal, but you can't use that word. So that was pretty funny. Them two, Harley and Dr. Psycho get together because he's all of a sudden available to join a crew. And they're joined by the bartender, which ends up being Clayface. Along with the Joker, Clayface in the show is voiced by Alan Tudyk. Clayface in this is like one of those actors that are just kind of ridiculous when it comes to their motivation and everything. What's my motivation for this? There's a point in the episode where he's like, what's my motivation? Harley's just like, you're a mailman. But he turns it into something anyway. Ends up kind of getting him in trouble. But all things turn out in the end okay. Then they decide to pull off a job against Maxie Zeus, who, of course, Harley had some issues with at the beginning of the episode. I have to say, I think this is my favorite episode so far. I think this one wasn't just, hey, we can throw in all the F-bombs we want. Though that stuff still is in this episode, I think they were a little more clever with some of their vulgarity. Maxie Zeus has a lot of statues that show something, and they blur it out, even when it's not on TV in the show or whatever. And I like that. They don't feel like they have to show everything. Anytime, granted it was on TV in the episode, but anytime that Dr. Psycho said, see you next Tuesday, they bleeped it out. The episode hasn't, I guess they felt like there's just some words we aren't going to have. Plenty of F-bombs still, though. But, so yeah, I like that they they were a little more clever with their vulgarity. I mean, the episode's still violent. It's still ridiculous. The characters are what are making the show for me, because I'm really getting into some of the ridiculousness of what they're doing with these characters, like Clayface being that kind of actor. Like in the last episode, Bane, they're making fun of the Tom Hardy Bane. You know, things like that. Dr. Psycho is a woman hater. I'm sure he's not going to have any redeeming qualities, but he at least kind of becomes part of the crew in this. And Harley now has her crew, and they're starting to get noticed. And of course, that ticks off the Joker. So we're going to be getting more Joker later, I'm assuming. But he's not real happy that she's getting the attention that he feels he should be getting. She should always be beneath him. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this episode. Again, I thought they were really clever. The Legion of Doom joke, I think, is my favorite joke, because, you've got Lex Luthor, who Giancarlo Esposito is voicing. He's standing there with, I can't remember who's all, but I know Black Manta was there, and there's a couple other villains just kind of surrounding him, like, we're revoking Dr. Psycho from all these different Legion of Doom, all these Legion of Doom parts, because we don't tolerate that kind of evil. And I just thought it was hilarious. Having Wanda Sykes in the episode was hilarious. JB Smooth's Frank the Plant. I'm fine with him, but he's just he's there to be a foil for Poison Ivy. I mean, it's kind of why he's there. But I really liked Clayface in this. I always loved the character of Harley, so I enjoyed this episode a lot. I hope that the rest of the season kind of sticks with this kind of humor, where they don't feel like they have to have every word in there. They don't feel like they have to be vulgar for the sake of being vulgar. Be a little more clever with your script. And again, I thought, for me so far, even though I know they're only 3 episodes in, if they can be more clever with their humor, especially the vulgarity, I think I'm going to enjoy the series more. So yeah, I really like this episode. Is it one of those episodes that make me go, you need to go out and get the DC Universe right now just to see it? No. I mean, I'm going to give it time before I say something like that. Because, you got shows like Titans, which I don't think are really worth it so far. I haven't watched everything on DC Universe, so I can't say enough about everything. But, for this series, it's not a game changer just yet. But again, I really like this episode a lot. That's going to be all for this edition of Crossin Streams. If you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the Real Geno YouTube channel. Like this video. You have anything to say about DC Universe's Harley Quinn series, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Till next time, I'm your host, the Real Geno, Geno Reynolds. See you later, puddins.